Welcome to another Mixing with Mike tip, and this mixing tip is on mid-side processing. Now, when you're working with mid-side processors, one of the things you need to understand is that the signal for a stereo field is broken down in a different way than the normal left and right that we normally associate with our processing. So, if you call up a stereo equalizer, you could actually separate the left EQ from the right EQ and independently equalize them. And that would give you the ability to perhaps balance off frequencies that are in balance between the left and right, maybe for overheads on a drum kit or something like that. Mid-side processing, however, separates the center signal, right? So we have a mid signal here, which is in phase information for signals that are feeding both the left and right speaker equally. For information that is left only and doesn't have a corresponding right signal, or right only and doesn't have a corresponding left signal of any strength, then this would be separated out into a separate channel, where one would be essentially in phase and the other would be out of phase. And it's sort of hard to understand it that way, other than you would have to just basically listen to it to really get it. Really, mid-side microphone techniques involve having a cardioid center mic and then a figure eight polar pattern for the side information. And then the signal, because it's one microphone that's reading equally from both directions, the signal would get split for out of phase or in phase information, which would separate or delineate from one side to the other. So this form of this basic concept, though, of working can be dealt out in a different way in terms of the processing power, which you will see in a second. So for example, if I actually call up an audio signal here and I have a center level control versus a side level control, what I can do is I can make a mix here, and if I pull out the center signal, essentially what I have is just the left and right information. And if I pull out the side information, essentially what I have is just a mono signal. So what this is doing is it's analyzing the relative phase of the signals that are feeding both the left and right side. If they're in phase, then it puts it to the center information. If it's out of phase or has no phase relationship, it puts it to the side information. And this is the basic idea of how this works. Now, when you apply this with different things, for example, like compression or equalization, this is a very powerful mastering tool and mixing tool, because what it does is it allows you to, say, apply one form of equalization and processing to the center signal without affecting the side signals. So if you find that your vocal or maybe something in the middle of a stereo image is not as strong or bright as you'd like it to be, you can brighten that without affecting the side signals. Or maybe to widen it, you brighten up the side signals and kind of dull out a little bit the center signal. And so if you find a mid-band, a mid-side processor for equalization or compression, and there are many that are out there, then this is a very, very powerful way of processing an audio signal independently of just the standard left and right processing. And this helps to enhance the stereo imaging. It should also give you some form of gain control. So this way you can stereo up a mix, right? You can make it a little bit wider, right, than it would normally be if it was like this, or you can mono it up, right, by making the center signal stronger. So all of these different techniques offer a new range of possibilities in terms of the way that you actually work with audio. So keep an eye out for those processors, and whenever you see a mid-side processing button, check it out for a little bit and play around with it. The HEQ is a very big one. The Fairchild compressor is also one. If you notice that on the original Fairchilds, it'll say lateral and vertical, because they separated the mid movement versus side movement on a cutting lathe as a vertical movement and up and down movement, which would be mid movement, and lateral movement, which would be the side information or the left and right information, as a way of compressing the signal going into the cutting head. And for mechanical reasons, this is exactly how it worked. So it's a very powerful processing form of processing, and definitely worth checking out. All right, so there you have it. There is a little video here, tip on using mid-side processing for mixing with Mike. If you like what you see with this video or any of the others, you can join the live classes every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Go to mpginsider.com, click on the Mixing with Mike link, and don't forget to look at all of the extra Mixing with Mike blog posts with other mixing tips.